Hi guys, how you doing? I'm doing okay. Right now, I'm gonna finish our little mini series, as it is, right? Fourth installment of responses to Bernie Sanders' opinions, beliefs, and thoughts. Okay, now in the last video, I ended with this aspect of family separation, and this is the last comment from him that I wanted to respond to. So let's to refresh your memories. This is what Bernie Sanders said about this.
Very much change our border policy so that federal agents are not snatching babies from the arms of their mothers. So,
okay. It is with that makes me think that Bernie Sanders believes the current year is 2017 and there has been no change to what happened a few years ago. At the last video, I basically brought the Mr. Sanders up to date of the changes that the administration has done in addressing that problem. Now, in concluding all of this, I want to go into the other perspective. Okay? The first one was one perspective, which was addressing the reality of his belief. Okay, does his belief ring true in 2020 as it once did in 2017? Now, one of the things that I believe is lost in this argument about snatching, quote unquote, snatching babies from the arms of their mother, I want to cover a different perspective of this, and without making any comments, I'm going to let the next set of videos speak for me. Okay? Because I think this argument, or this aspect of this argument, taken in that context, because, you know, you might think I'm taking it out of context, and I'm taking this word for word, but, you know, sometimes one could forget the language being used that has other meanings in other circumstances. So with that in mind, okay, I'm going to address that issue of snatching babies from the arms of their mother, quote unquote, from a totally different perspective in different circumstances, and see how horrified the idea is as a rule, law, and policy. Whether it's a legal policy, a political policy, whatever it is a rule. Now, I'm using the word rule differently than you normally would. Okay? So just please keep that in mind as I let these videos speak for me from a different perspective than what you saw yesterday or what you saw in the last video. Okay. Okay, now, here we go with a set of videos addressing from a different perspective about law enforcement, quote unquote, snatching babies from the arms of their mother.
And in another disturbing story involving young children, they were found in filthy conditions. Now 3 people are charged with felony child neglect. Child Protective Services took 3 children from this roach-infested home on Earlston Lane near Indian River Road in Virginia Beach. 10 on your side, Stephanie Harris has this story. Stephanie, who alerted authorities?
Well, Nita, I found out it was a federal probation officer. As it turns out, just 3 days ago, the children's mother, 22-year-old Andromeda Lilly, was found guilty of stealing government property. She got a fine and probation. When that probation officer went by the house and saw what was inside here, that officer called Child Protective Services, and you're about to see why. The pictures speak for themselves. The kitchen, the refrigerator, the walls, and what appears to be a bedroom with cats perched high upon piles of junk. Police charged 22-year-old Andromeda Lilly, her boyfriend, 24-year-old Umar James, and her grandfather, Raymond Getzinger, who owns the home, with felony child neglect. Neighbors who knew the family say they were never invited inside.
You don't know what's behind those walls till you get in there.
Henry Justice told 10 on your side the children, ages 1, 2, and 4, appeared to be loved.
These children had somebody always out there with them watching them. They were never left alone to run all up and down the block completely unattended.
When he looks at these pictures, he doesn't see a crime so much as a call for help.
Rather than look at the judicial process, let's look and see what we can now do to help the children, to bring the integrity of the family back to where it can be a working, functional family situation once again.
Child Protective Services sent the children to another relative, and the grandmother, who authorities say was also not properly cared for, is staying with another relative too. Animal Rescue removed 7 cats, a dog, and a bird from the home as well. And the city condemned that house. A judge ordered none of the 3 accused can have any unsupervised contact with the children, and they are not allowed to care for animals either. We'll let you know what happens next in court. Stephanie Harris, 10 on your side.
The parents of that 6-year-old girl are now here at the Westmoreland County Prison. According to police, there was very little food in that home. Police only found 2 boxes of cereal and a box of ramen noodles. It appeared that that little girl, that 6-year-old, had gone without a meal for quite some time. Allegheny Township Police say these parents appeared under the influence of a narcotic and had no idea where their 6-year-old daughter was. This is 24-year-old Ricky Hostler and 27-year-old Eugene Smory II. Police got a call their child was found alone and hungry outside of their Leechburg apartment complex.
She was never supervised. I come outside all the time and she's walking around, never supervised. It's really sad.
Neighbors say it was common for the girl to be outside by herself all day and asking adults for food.
Every time I cooked out back, she would ask me for food, and of course I'm going to give it to her.
It was a similar situation yesterday when another neighbor found the girl alone on a swing set. The girl said her mother would not allow her in the house, and that neighbor fed the girl 2 plates of chicken and mashed potatoes. Police say during all of this, Smory was passed out in his apartment, and police also found evidence of drugs in the room. The 6-year-old girl and her 1-year-old brother are now with family members.
Yesterday, when they were handcuffing her and EJ was screaming, a mother instinct is to go get your kid. She just sat there smoking cigarettes and texting. I feel so bad for them.
Smory remains here on $10,000 bond for criminal trespassing. Hostler has a $100,000 bond for endangering the welfare of children and also for possession of drug paraphernalia. Reporting outside of the Westmoreland County Prison, I'm Kelly Brennan, Pittsburgh's Action News 4.
Louisville man is in jail after police say they found drugs in his home and children living in deplorable conditions. 40-year-old Stanley Brindley is facing several charges, including cultivating marijuana and wanton endangerment. Our Carolyn Callahan is on Hopewell Road in southeastern Jefferson County this afternoon, where the arrest was made. Carolyn, what can you tell us right now?
Well, Karen, it was last night at this house behind me where detectives came. They were working a drug investigation, and police say when they went inside the house, the conditions were deplorable. They say there was trash and other items thrown about the home. They also say there were children, 5 of them, the youngest 1, the oldest 8, living in the house. Now, during this search, detectives say they found 25 marijuana plants ranging in size from 1 to 6 feet tall. They say there was also lighting, timers, irrigation, and other marijuana growing equipment in the house. 21 firearms were found, including handguns, AR-15s, and shotguns. Detectives tell us 7,000 to 10,000 rounds of ammunition were found in the home. Neighbors who live here, some of them tell us they're surprised.
Looking at the place, I wouldn't have thought anyone lived there at all. So I just saw, pieces of equipment around the yard and things, but I never guessed anyone would ever live in there. I just don't think it's inhabitable.
And detectives also say they don't think it was inhabitable. Again, 5 children living there. Police say they also say there was mold growing in the home. They say they found uncapped needles and that weapons were also in the reach of those 5 children inside that house. We're told the man who has been charged in this case has been convicted before for cultivating marijuana. Reporting live, I'm Carolyn Callahan, WLKY News.
All right, Carolyn, thank you. Moving on.
Plea from neighbors uncovers what police are calling a horrendous case of alleged animal and child neglect. A home on Long Island found loaded with garbage, animals in poor condition, and 2 children. CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff reports their mother is now facing criminal charges.
Unfit for human occupancy. That's the sign now affixed to this North Merrick house of horrors. So says Nassau SPCA, which discovered 15 crated dogs here covered in waste, and amid the filth, a mother and 2 children, ages 8 and 14.
The scene was a horrific scene. It was a child should not have to live in those conditions, and an animal who can't speak can't live in those conditions. No comment is.
Now facing child endangerment and animal cruelty charges, 36-year-old Yvette Seibert, a police officer's estranged widow, who officials say had hoarded garbage throughout the house, stacked knee-deep.
There was not a clean living space throughout the house. There was clothing, garbage on the couches, the countertops.
It was deplorable. There were feces on the floor which were dried. There was a urine smell which emanated throughout the house.
The case uncovered thanks to this heartbreaking letter from anonymous neighbors to the Nassau County Executive's office, citing appalling conditions, hungry, filthy, and disheveled children, always asking for food, often home alone and missing school. But to some on Astor Avenue, there were no overt signs of trouble.
That's horrible to know something like that is right under your nose and you don't know about it.
The county executive says it dispatched law enforcement upon receiving the letter on Monday. The first to arrive, the SPCA found schnauzers, chihuahuas, and a terrier crammed into filthy crates with no fresh food and water. The dogs, many of them puppies, now getting TLC at the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter. They should be available for adoption this weekend. As for the Seibert children, police say they were not malnourished, but with their house uninhabitable and their mother facing felonies, they were released into the custody of relatives. In Nassau County, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS 2 News.
2 children found in an Escambia County home in deplorable conditions, now being evaluated at Sacred Heart Hospital.
29-year-old Joshua Stanley was arrested yesterday after deputies responded to a report of a possible drug overdose. The 2 children were in heavily soiled diapers. Deputies say their hands and feet were so cold they were blue. Stanley is now facing child neglect charges. Channel 3's Dave Gonzalez talked with neighbors tonight.
Joe Palazzo has lived on Gale Drive in Brownsville for the last 11 years. He says the neighborhood is quiet and filled with families. But Palazzo hasn't had a good relationship with his next-door neighbor, Joshua Stanley.
He's a real hothead, And I've tried to get along with him, there's just no doing it. Just no way, everything's his way, and you'll hear about her 2, 3 o'clock in the morning screaming and yelling.
Palazzo didn't even know there were kids in the home until about a month ago.
Yeah, but when I seen the kid, he was looking out that window there.
He's not shocked to hear the kids were found in unsanitary conditions.
You take a look at their backyard one time, I think I kind of explained it there. It's like the landfill.
Palazzo says his concern is the children.
I've called Department of Children and Family already.
Oh, before
yes, because of all the arguments, domestic violence and everything. I just don't think the kids should be living in those conditions. I hope they go to a better place, though, for their sake.
Now, 3 children are in state custody after being found in filthy conditions in this Worcester home. Drug charges have been brought against 2 women who live there. The children ages 6, 5, and 3.
Just awful. The eye opener's Frank Holland is here with the deplorable conditions inside that home and the reaction from family members. Frank.
Well, Doug and Antoinette, Worcester police used some disturbing details to describe the home where one of those women lives with her kids. Police were there executing a search warrant on Friday night after they pulled over Sheila Montalvo and her girlfriend Natasha Riley Murphy. They say the home on King Street was infested with animal feces, mice, and garbage. Police also say they discovered oxycodone pills, marijuana, hundreds of bags for distributing drugs, and $3,400 cash. The 2 women were arrested on drug charges. The 6-year-old, 5-year-old, and 3-year-old in the home were placed in DCF custody. Montalvo's mother, Gladys Santana, was inconsolable as she sifted through the house of squalor where her grandchildren live. She admits she had not been upstairs for a long time.
I'm trying to see if I can pick up my grandchildren's clothes to wash them, so to see if this gives me an opportunity to have them in my life instead of placing them somewhere.
The 3-year-old and 6-year-old taken from the home were Montalvo's children. The other child was a cousin who was just visiting. Montalvo and Riley Murphy will be arraigned tomorrow at Worcester District Court. And
a woman is facing charges after her 2 little kids were found living in squalor. Police were called to Stevatizia Michaels' home on Hamilton Avenue last week. A neighbor reported seeing her 3-year-old daughter outside naked with just a towel. Police say it was 35 degrees at the time. An infant boy was in the house. Police say the home was covered with dirt, used diapers, and old food.
4 children taken into DCF custody after they were found living in unsanitary conditions. 22 News reporter David McKay has been following this story and takes you inside the home to speak with the mother.
I went inside 4 days after the house was condemned to speak with a mother who was adamant those conditions we first saw were out of the ordinary. Now you can take a look for yourself. A garage fire revealed unsanitary living conditions inside a home at 5557 Revere Street in Springfield last week. Original pictures showed roaches, fleas, and dirty diapers on the 2nd floor where 4 children and a mother and her sister were living.
Smile, the joke's on you. I'm not a pig.
4 days later, the mother, Jasmine Gomez, took me through the house to prove that the day city code enforcement came was out of the usual.
DCF has come to my house before. They know this is how my house always is. I'm always clean. It's never dirty. I would never give my kids an exposure to dirt and a dirty house.
The 3 young girls and 1 boy, all under the age of 5, were taken into custody by the Department of Children and Families. Their mother says they're currently living in the area with their grandparents, waiting as DCF looks into the allegations. City Code Enforcement says even though there was some cleaning for reinspection, they are not removing condemnation because they found filthy floors, walls, and an infestation of roaches.
Until this property is brought into 100% compliance with the code enforcement re-inspections, then it will not be lifted and they will not be allowed to stay there at this property.
The city is moving the issues to housing court to have the violations corrected. The landlord, who lives on the first floor, was cited for hoarding and is also not allowed back in. He says he has had issues with the city code enforcement in the past. Live in the studio, David McKay, 22 News.
Used toilet paper on the floor, animal feces throughout the house. Disturbing accusations out of Clark County tonight.
And now 2 people are facing charges for what police say they discovered in the home on Sylvania Drive in Winchester. Catherine Collins has more in the LEX18 Big Story at 5.
Winchester police say those unclean living conditions were discovered when an officer showed up to this house to serve a warrant. That officer reported seeing feces, bugs, and overflowing trash in the home on Sylvania Road. According to police, Melissa and Jason Baker have been charged with first-degree criminal abuse. Police say the couple has a 12-year-old son who was exposed to those conditions. Police describe dirty toilet paper on the floor, no bedding in the child's room, trash on the floor, and several cockroaches and other bugs crawling around. Dog and cat feces and urine was also reportedly seen in the home. Neighbors here tell me they are shocked to hear about these arrests. They say most people keep to themselves in this neighborhood.
I hate to see it like that. I hate to see it like that. But if that's the way it's what they found, then they need to do something about it.
Police say they have contacted social services about those conditions. Covering the news in Clark County from the LEX18 Mobile Newsroom. Back to you.
This is Channel 2 News at 6.
And we begin tonight with the search for a woman who is wanted by police. A mother now charged with child abandonment after her children were left home alone. Those children, ages 2, 6, and 10, found their way to a neighbor's house.
And that's where this investigation and the search for the mother began. Our Sion Rhodes joining us live in North Houston with the story that was first on click2houston.com this evening. Sion?
And Bill, we know that woman, Lily Martinez, has been in touch with family members because she called her mother within the last hour while we were here, her mother imploring her daughter to turn herself in, but Lily Martinez said she would not.
The oldest little girl knocked on my door and said that she was hungry.
This neighbor, who did not want to be identified, says Martinez's 10-year-old daughter showed up on her doorstep last Friday afternoon.
And I asked why she wasn't in school because she goes to school with my oldest son. She said she couldn't leave her baby sister alone. They woke up, nobody was home.
The neighbor went with the girl to get her siblings, a 6-year-old. Boy and
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, we're watching a set of videos that addresses what is continually being stated as, quote, children's being torn out of their mother's arms. Okay, this is a different perspective now. Okay, different perspective. That's the image when being said in that is placed in the minds of people, mostly mothers and caring people about children, which I agree with, okay? However, that graphic description is very, very ill-placed, okay? So, because when that language is used, when it's described as, quote, children being torn out of their mother's arms, unquote, that leaves a visual imprint in everyone's mind. And so I only wanted to offer a different perspective of that language being used, of that description being used, and the image placed in the minds of everybody when that language is used. So that's all I'm doing here. So I'm sorry about this. Here we go.
Live from KPRC, this is Channel 2
I'm repeating
News
this, I
at 6.
apologize.
And we begin tonight with the search for a woman who is wanted by police, a mother now charged with child abandonment after her children were left home alone. Those children, ages 2, 6, and 10, found their way to a neighbor's house.
And that's where this investigation and the search for the mother began. Our Sion Rhodes joining us live in North Houston with the story that was first on click2houston.com this evening. Sion?
And Bill, we know that woman, Lily Martinez, has been in touch with family members because she called her mother within the last hour while we were here, her mother imploring her daughter to turn herself in, but Lily Martinez said she would not.
The oldest little girl knocked on my door and said that she was hungry.
This neighbor, who did not want to be identified, says Martinez's 10-year-old daughter showed up on her doorstep last Friday afternoon.
And I asked why she wasn't in school because she goes to school with my oldest son. She said she couldn't leave her baby sister alone. They woke up, nobody was home.
The neighbor went with the girl to get her siblings, a 6-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl.
The little girl had to give her one of my daughter's diapers because it looked like she had been in that diaper for at least a day.
Investigators said there was feces in an upstairs hallway leading to a child's bedroom and no food in the family's refrigerator, pantry, or cupboards.
I cooked them a pizza, a whole large pizza. Gave them all the juice I had. They finished it all.
According to court documents, Martinez's live-in boyfriend and father of 2 of the children told deputies he thought she was home when he left for work at 5:30 Friday morning. He later said Martinez had been disappearing from time to time over the last few weeks, but did not know why.
They seemed worried and scared, but the oldest little girl, she's very mature. She tries to take care of her little sisters and little brother, which at her age, she shouldn't even have to worry about that.
And Martinez does have a prior criminal history, including drugs and theft. And last summer, she was convicted of assault on a family member. The children now in the care of their father and grandmother. Reporting live, Sion Rhodes, KPRC, Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Sion.
An elderly woman and 2 young children are found living in squalor amid dogs, cats, and human waste. Good evening, everyone. Police stumbled upon the deplorable conditions while they were searching for a wanted person.
Local 12's Brad Underwood is live in Latonia Lakes off Taylor Mill Road in Kenton County with more on the conditions of the 3 people and the home. Brad.
Well, that's right. The 89-year-old woman, we're told by police, is recovering tonight at St. Elizabeth's Hospital. And the 2 children, a 5-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl, are with police tonight as they try to figure out who will take care for these children. Now, Child Services has been called in. They're also going to be brought into this investigation. But we want to show you some video from inside the home where those children and that 89-year-old were taken out of today. And going through the house, it doesn't look as bad as you would think when you hear the descriptions we're going to be giving you of what police say that home looked like. It appears there had been some cleaning done after those 3 individuals were removed from the house just before 10 o'clock this morning. But I'll tell you what you can't see in that video is the smell. Just awful. I mean, one of the most putrid smells that I've ever had to smell, and you could smell it on the porch through the open door. And police say it was full of animal and human feces. The bed that the 89-year-old woman was sleeping on was covered in her own waste, and police say the children slept on soiled couches. And we did talk to a man who claims he is the uncle of Christina Kurtz. That's the 29-year-old that's in custody tonight. And he said he's been living in this filth for about 1.5 years.
After a while, you get used to it. It's sickening, but like I said, I usually live downstairs. What goes on up here is a whole different story.
Now again, 29-year-old Christina Kurtz, she is the mother of those 2 children that were taken out of the home, and she is the granddaughter of the 89-year-old woman that was taken out of home, according to police tonight. She's in the Kenton County Jail facing an abuse charge. As for the reason why police were actually there, they were called to assist the Department of Corrections in a search for a wanted person. They did not find that person there, and they're still looking for that individual. They have not released the name of that suspect they were searching for in the first place. Reporting live tonight in Latonia Lakes, Brad Underwood, Local 12 News.
All right, thank you, Brad. And Kurtz could face additional charges regarding the abuse. Investigators are also looking at filing animal abuse charges against her.
We begin this noon at Fort Pierce with the largest news team on the Treasure Coast. Child welfare workers are taking into custody 2 children after police discovered deplorable conditions that they were living in. I want you to take a look at a live picture of the home on the 700 block of South 24th Street. Police responded after they were called by workers from the Department of Children and Families. Inside this home you're taking a look at, they found trash and rotting food throughout the house. They also found the children were unwashed and wearing dirty clothes. The children are now in protective custody. Their parents facing child neglect charges this noon. Now, the parents told investigators that the filth just got out of control and they felt overwhelmed by the situation. As you take a look at still pictures inside the home, we'll have more on this developing story tonight starting at 5.
And to our
At 5, a Sunrise mother arrested, accused of leaving her 2 toddlers home alone. And according to police, this could have turned out much worse. CBS 4's Joan Murray joins us live from Sunrise with this story. Joan.
Well, Rick, that mother is in jail tonight, but police say her 2 small children somehow made it out of their apartment and ended up close to busy Sunset Strip. Tonight she remains in jail, but when she gets out, she will be separated from her children.
Rose Pettit Home.
Wearing a protective vest, 27-year-old Rose Pettit Home spoke softly to the judge as he outlined why she was arrested Sunday on 2 counts of child neglect. Sunrise police say she left her 2 small kids, 1 and 3 years old, home alone while she went shopping.
Apparently you decided to go to Home Depot because of the fact that there was some kind of a leak in the roof of your vehicle. You left your children, you walked 1.6 miles to the Home Depot. At some point in that 3+ mile trip, you stopped somewhere for a little bit on the way where your small children got out of the house, walked out into the parking lot, and were next to a major thoroughfare.
A driver spotted the children and took them to a neighbor's apartment. When she returned home, Pettit Home told police she went to the store to buy a tool to fix a broken sunroof on her car, which she claimed kept draining her car battery. Pettit Home's children are now in the care of her sister. The judge told Pettit Home that's where the children will remain until the Department of Children and Families can conduct an investigation.
You are not to be unsupervised with your children until we can get this in front of a dependency judge, okay?
Okay, sir, thank you.
So that means you're not going out with them, you're not going to get a Slurpee, you're nothing like that, okay? All right, your sister's going to take care of them until we can sort it out. You can see them, but your sister has to be present. Do you understand?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Good luck, young lady.
So once again, the children remain with their mother's sister. The mother is not out of jail, and the hearing was supposed to happen today, but it is being rescheduled. In Sunrise, Joan Murray, CBS 4 News.
That breaking news is from Fairfield. Now, getting word the Fairfield Police Department just announced minutes ago it's rescued 10 children from what it calls horrible living conditions. Fairfield police say the children between 4 months and 11 years old, and they were living in squalor and unsafe conditions. Their mother and father have been arrested, and all 10 children have been taken into protective custody by Solano County Child Welfare Services.
Police say the house was a mess.
Inside the Fayette County home, children, police say, who were all alone. Channel 4 Action News reporter Tara Edwards has more from neighbors in Masontown, Fayette County.
Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, neighbors say that they were surprised to see police and children and youth services in their neighborhood here on East Harvey Street. But why they were here, they say, was no shock to them. Kimberly Myers and Destiny Riggle say they watched as children and youth services came out of the home next door here in the 100 block of East Harvey Avenue. Riggle tells us she's been inside the house before and wasn't stunned to hear how CYS agents describe conditions.
The children and youth lady was outside talking that it was covered in animal feces through the house and it had stunk really bad in there.
Police say kids were left home alone. Neighbors say one was a baby, though it's not clear for how long. Police describe living conditions as deplorable.
From what I see from the inside of their house when I fixed their kerosene heater back in
beginning of January, I think it was a mess in there.
And at that point, they had a water hose coming from the neighbor's house to use their water because they had no water in the house. And they were just at her house yesterday morning getting 2 jugs of water so they could cook and stuff for the kids because they didn't have water.
A Channel 4 Action News camera could see someone peeking out of the window where this allegedly took place. But when we tried to talk to who was inside, no one answered the door. Right now, police, along with Children and Youth Services, are not releasing any details, but we do know that the children are staying with family tonight. In Masontown, Fayette County, Tara Edwards, Channel 4 Action News.
Evidence of children littered the yard at a home in the 100 block of Fulton Drive in Des Moines. It was just earlier this week kids were seen there too.
Yeah, they'd be out here by themselves. No adult around.
Monday, neighbors noticed 3 children, ages 4, 2, and 1, in the front yard. One was naked, covered in feces, another with just a diaper on. And mom, 25-year-old Destiny Miller, nowhere to be found.
The whole thing's best described as just a kind of a heartbreaking mess down there.
Sergeant Paul Parizek says once on scene, the oldest child told police why they were outside in the first place.
This is one of the parts that's kind of the hardest to really wrap your brain around, is that there was a 4-year-old who had taken it upon himself to try and prepare lunch for his brother and sister.
The oven started to make a noise, so he got everyone out of the house. But inside, police found deplorable living conditions too.
The police were everywhere, guys in white suits.
I don't think we expected to find what we did find.
Parizek says the home had dirty dishes and spoiled food in the kitchen, along with dog and human waste throughout the rest of the house. Miller arrived home several minutes after police did and was arrested for child endangerment.
It's an unfortunate incident because their lives have been changed due to one person's neglect.
Also following breaking news from Suffolk, that's where police arrested a couple accused of child abuse.
Police tell us 4 children were living in the home. We want to warn you, the details are disturbing. 10 on your sides, Laura Queso has been going through court documents in this case. She joins us live now from the newsroom. Laura, what have you found out?
Yeah, disturbing is right, ladies. Police tell us they went to the home on Holland Road last night after getting a tip about alleged child abuse. Officers say they found a child physically restrained in the bathroom there. Suffolk police arrested 50-year-old James Peck and 45-year-old April Peck. The couple is married, that's what we know. Officers say they found a total of 4 children in that home. They say the conditions were unsanitary. Police say they found a child on the toilet with his arm tied to his leg. Now, James said he left the child bound and checked on him occasionally. This is information from the criminal complaint. April admitted to tying the child up and placing him in the bathtub. Police say she also admitted that she left him there for about an hour. Officers say they also found drug paraphernalia inside. Now, the boy that was in the bathroom is at CHKD for medical observation. The Pecks are at the Western Tidewater Regional Jail, facing several charges, including abduction and kidnapping, abuse and neglect of children, and cruelty to children. Child Protective Services has the other 3 children in custody right now. Now, the criminal complaint does not have any ages of the children. We're working to find that out. Police say they are still investigating and could file additional charges in this case. I'll have another update on this case for you coming up at 12:30. I'm live in the newsroom. Laura Queso, 10 on your side.
Okay. I think we get the idea. And to finish this video off, I will repeat Bernie Sanders' statement.
On my first day as president, through executive order, I would end all of Trump's race.
Oops.
And very much change our border policy so that federal agents are not snatching babies from the arms of their mothers.
Okay, so law enforcement are not snatching babies from the arms of their mother. Okay. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening again. That pretty much does it for this topic and this set of videos. Again, thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.